Welcome back. I have another contact review. I have these contacts. I know you can't see through the case, but these are yellow contacts. I really, really want to use these. I've been like dying to use them over the past couple of days. So we're going to use these contacts and we're going to talk about the Flash for a very long time. I have a couple other new things that I bought this weekend that I also want to test today, so we're going to be reviewing those as well, I guess, because I've never used them before. I don't know, lots of new things. Very excited. So the first thing that we're trying today is this Secure the Blur primer. I don't use primers. They're just not something that's a part of my daily routine ever, and I've been wanting to try some because I do have some pretty serious pores, which I mean is human, but sometimes in photos they look a little bit weird. So I wanted to try this out because I've been hearing everybody talk about it forever. Just says apply before, it doesn't say how much. So we're gonna do a little bit more because I have a very large face. I think that's good. It's not like, I don't think I'm supposed to apply it like a lotion and like fully sink it into my skin. I think there's supposed to be a little bit like left to grab onto the makeup. I don't know. I'm like kind of awake, kind of not. I have had 3 days off in a row. So I'm like not here, but kind of am. So I got this. I have been trying really hard not to drink a lot of caffeine. So I have this one and then I have like a pink Starburst C4 because they were on sale. I'm gonna try it because I think I've had a C4 like exactly once. That was nice, crisp. Ooh, oh. I need my inhaler. I'm like wheezing a lot. Hold on. I'm sorry if you can hear my wheezing through this. I can't find my inhaler anywhere. Just looking at it off the bat with nothing else on, it doesn't look like it did a lot to my pores, but I mean, there's nothing for it to attach to, and I'm assuming it just like fills in the space. So let's try to put something over it, I guess. Now I'm gonna use this Morphe brow pencil really quick to start doing my eyebrows. Okay, so I love a lot of things about the Flash in general. And when I'm talking about the Flash, I mean the Flash in all continuities. Just overall, he's one of my favorite characters. I love super speed as a power in the first place. And when you attach it to an incredibly lovable character, I'm just going to like die, I think. But one of the main things that I love about the Flash is his villains, because hear me out, okay? I know his villains are not very like new concepts and they like kind of don't make sense, but I think that's kind of the fun of it. And I think that's kind of the point.
Because to me, the Flash is kind of like the quintessential hero. At least his storylines, he is like fighting for good in like all cases. And he's fighting for like everybody to win. His villains are all very, again, like normal. They're not like crazy people who are actively trying to kill everybody in the city. And I'm talking about like his daily occurrence ones. Obviously, I'm not talking about the Reverse Flash yet. We will get there. But I'm talking about like the rogues are just kind of there. They just are like doing their best in life. And they don't even want to kill anybody. I'm gonna carve out my brows with this Fenty foundation really quick. The rogues are some of my favorite villains because they do feel the most human in nature, because they're not inherently evil. They're not trying to like kill the Flash. They're not trying to get rid of it. They're not trying to take over the entire city. They are normally just on a heist or something that they're just trying to get a pay grade from. Like they really are just trying to make their bottom dollar and just like make it out without hurting anybody if possible. Even if they don't always make sense how they can win a fight. I think you do have to lose a little bit of your sense of reality when you're looking at Captain Boomerang and he like actually manages to hit the Flash. Like, bro is the fastest man alive. I like don't know what to tell you. He defies all physics and yet you hit him. I don't understand how that works. And I don't understand how you're one of his main villains. I do think you have to give up a little bit of that understanding of like, in any sense, that doesn't really work. Hey, so guys, you realize they made a really big mistake and didn't put their contacts in yet. So I'm gonna wash my hands really quick because I already have makeup on them, and then I'm gonna put my contacts in and see how long it takes. Those look kind of green. Let's be so clear. I did not have high expectations for these because my eyes are blue. They do normally just end up turning like a muddy color if you put yellow contacts over them, but I thought they'd be a little bit less thin than this. I don't know, this just makes my eyes look bigger, I guess. Not even, they look the same size. Oddly enough, now that they're together, they do look a little bit more yellow. They're very brown. They're yellow tinted, but it's more like, this is more like Twilight yellow to me than it is like, I don't know, than it is like an actual yellow contact. Because to me, I want my eyes eyes to be like this. I want my eyes to be like this color. And they're just like very natural looking, which is almost good. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it just wasn't what I was hoping for. And quite frankly, all of the models on the website have brown eyes, so it makes them look brighter on all people instead of on just brown-eyed people. Not super excited about that. Visibility is great. I feel like I could drive in these 100%. Like, I can see super well. I'm sure in like a half hour, I'm gonna forget that these are even in my eyes, to be totally honest with you. Now that the contacts are in, because I can't believe that I fucking forgot, we're gonna use this Fenty concealer over my eyes really quick to set a base for the eyeshadow. The reason the Flash villains feel so human to me is that they are more centered in very clearly being people that just need help. Like in some way, shape, or form, they just need help, whether it's monetarily or if it's like mental help. Like I think one of the most famous Flash scenes is him talking to Trickster in a bar, and he's just like, hey, do you know that you're like wearing this suit again? And Trickster's like, oh my god, I am. Like he didn't notice because he stopped taking his meds. And he's like, if you go back to the psych ward, I promise I will come and visit you, and like I will come talk to you and we can play darts. And Trickster's like, sick. Like, let's do that. Which, really cool fact that I learned today is that after that appearance in the show, Trickster doesn't show up again, which likely means that the Flash goes to enough treatments with Trickster that the treatments actually start helping and he actually is like getting better, which I love. That's just fun. I think I'm gonna do a red eye with a gold cut crease and see how that goes, just to be a little bit more like the Flash's suit. I'm gonna try to actually avoid the corner of my eye just to make cutting the crease later easier. This is an About Face liquid eye paint, by the way. I love these. They're just perfect. I love everything about them. I do love in general that pretty much every version of the Flash is kind of like charismatic and witty and like kind of an asshole. Like every single version of the Flash is just kind of like, I don't know how to describe him. He's just like so funny to me. Wally, Bart, and Jay all have this like little bit of attitude that's just like, man, don't be a dick. Which has always made me giggle just a little bit, because like there's something so funny about there being so many different versions of a character, and they're all so different while carrying a lot of the same traits that are likely because they have all interacted with each other and been around each other for so long. The sarcasm, the wit, the humor is all because they continue to interact with each other over time. In comparison to like the Robins, where like some of the Robins are like very joyful and excited to be a Robin, and then some of the Robins are very like heavy metal. Like they're just so like ready to kick ass. Like Dick Grayson's Robin versus Damian Wayne's Robin, two totally different characters, even though they were raised by the same person, because they aren't fluidly interacting in the same way, but they do all have the same dry sense of humor that Bruce does have. So like, I like being able to see when characters have like been a touchstone on each other over the course of their lifetime in universe. I think that's really cool. And I think that the Flash does a really good job of that overall. You know what the Flash doesn't do well? For some fucking reason, because I have a list. I'm using this yellow About Face liquid eye paint. One of the main things that pissed me off when I first started getting into the Flash was the lack of consistency in who Wally West is. Okay, call me Unc, whatever the fuck. I grew up with the Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited. Those were my first introductions to DC, as well as Teen Titans. In Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, it is very clearly stated that that is Wally West. Right? And I had to look this up when I first started getting into DC as an adult, because I was like, what do you mean everybody's saying that's Barry Allen? It's not. Like, I'm like so confused, because I didn't even know the name Barry Allen until I started getting into it again. I was like, okay, who the fuck is that? Turns out that when they originally made Justice League, they just decided Wally West was the Flash that was there, and that Wally West was gonna be the one who helped found the Justice League. And then like 5 years later, when they released Young Justice, they decided that Kid Flash would also be Wally West. Like, respectfully, it's hard enough to keep up with every character in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Why are we gonna add this problem of Wally West with all of the traits of Barry Allen? Now I'm gonna use this TMNT palette and put this like macaroni-ish color in the crease. It just doesn't look yellow enough to me. It all looks just looks a little too orange. I think the absolute reset point that they had for the animated universe for DC, for which Flash was which, was Flashpoint Paradox. And I think part of that is due to a thing that DC very commonly deals with, which is they could be releasing something for 10 to 15 years. If they release one project, even half a project, that is received in incredibly better than any previous project they've done, that project becomes the touch point for a lot of people because it introduces a lot of people to DC. Point in case being, the Flashpoint Paradox was one of DC's greatest movies that they've ever made, for animateds at least. It touched on a lot of subjects that I think DC was a little bit too afraid to go into because their audience was so young, but as their audience grew with them, for the animateds at least, I think they were a little bit more willing to touch on those subjects. And Flashpoint was so incredible that everybody references Flashpoint now, and they realized how much traction they could get if they continued off of Flashpoint. And so now it's where everybody's like, oh yeah, Barry Allen is the Flash. I'm gonna use a little bit of this liquid eye paint in the corner of my eye. I'm gonna take some of this heavy metal and kind of put it all over the yellow. I think glitter just got in my contact. And now I'm gonna use this eyeliner just to do a wing really quick. I wanna do like a big wing. I don't know, maybe I'll regret it. It doesn't matter, who fucking cares? I'll have to fill it in a little bit more because it did dye a little bit over here, but I'll fix it. This also 100% is just me talking. I could 100% be wrong. The comics have always said that Barry Allen is the Flash that starts the Justice League, but Jay Garrick is the first one, and that Wally West is Kid Flash. So it could 100% be that they just lined up in a weird way and DC was like, maybe we switch it because Wally West is doing better in our modern comics than anybody else is and we have to make animated series now. It could 1000% be that, and I just wasn't around for that. Could totally be, because I believe Justice League came out in 2001 and Justice League Unlimited came out in 2005. But even if it's a little later than 2005, I was 2 in 2005. So like, I wasn't even around when Justice League was first releasing. So it could just be that I do not understand the timeline of how everything came out. I think I am gonna tightline my eyes really quick. I have to do this off camera because I need too many hands to do too many things. So give me a sec. I am gonna do some red spot cover-ups really quick with the same concealer from earlier. One thing that is pretty consistent is that Flash's villains, when they are corny, but when they are scary, they're a little insane. I know we all joke about Reverse Flash being the #1 hater, but holy fuck, that guy is crazy. Being so mad at somebody because destiny fucked you over. Brother, he didn't do anything. He didn't even tell you. Like, the story of Reverse Flash is basically that Barry Allen is supposed to be like the Flash and is supposed to be the person who holds the title of Flash or whatever the fuck, and is supposed to be like the guy, right? And Eobard Thawne is like a huge fan of the Flash, and then he figures out after he's joined the Speedster Force that he like is never going to be the same talent as Barry. And he gets so angry that he just fucking hates the guy. Using the same foundation from earlier. And he hates the guy so bad, he goes back in time and kills Barry's mom and like starts his origin story. Bro is fucking crazy. And don't get me wrong, I love Grodd. Grodd is like a really cool villain and he is almost comedic in the ways they can use him. And he is like obviously a very high level threat in the Flash universe, whatever. That's a gorilla. I don't know, maybe I would be scared of it, but if I saw a gorilla on live TV being like, I'm gonna take over your city, I'd be like, okay, so you're a gorilla. Let's start there. Let's then move on to the fact that even if you were 12 times the intelligence you are now, we have metahumans and non-metahumans who are just fucking crazy. Like, you're not winning this, bro. I know he's like one of the high-level threats in the Flash universe. He's like the second, I think he's the second most important villain next to Reverse Flash, if I'm not wrong, which I could be. But he's just like, bro, that's a gorilla. Like, I genuinely have no other response to that. He's just not that scary to me. And like, there's episodes of the Justice League where he's like dating people and that like he's meant to be, he like takes over Lex Luthor's spot. And it just is like, what the fuck is going on in here, you know? I was supposed to do my contour first. I was talking too much. Now we're gonna do the contour so that we can do this in the correct order and I don't fuck everything up. This is some random Sephora contour I got like a couple years ago. I also want to take this time to talk about the insanity that was the Flash CW. I was never a frequent watcher of the show. If I remember it, my sister used to love watching it, but it was never my thing when I was a kid. And as an adult, I'm so glad it wasn't. I like just watched a video about it because I thought it was going to be about like Flash villains in general, and then it was just about the CW show ending and all the Flash villains in there. And I was like, you know what, I'll stay. I don't remember much about the show anyways. And I just like learning about the different universes, right? It looks so bad. Like, I know a lot of shows don't age well. That show aged like shit. I think it was the stepping stone to get Supergirl and Arrow started. Again, could be so fucking wrong about that. Everything except for the set basically and the entirely CGI characters looks insanely bad. If you used to love that show and you haven't seen it in a while, go look at it again. Because I don't think it looks as good as you remember it looking. I'm gonna use more of the orange, but I'm gonna mix these three blushes together. Even the actors don't look right. Like, it was just weird casting choices even. As cute as he was as the Flash, I just don't think I would have chosen Grant Gustin for the Flash. I don't know, he does a really good job from what I remember and from the scenes that I have seen. He does a really good job at being Barry Allen, but he doesn't look at all like the character. And I'm not saying that he like has to be identical, but I don't think any features on him look at all like Barry Allen, which just seems strange to me for an on-screen adaptation that has to pick up traction for characters, which I believe they did with like Supergirl as well, where a lot of characters, it was like, this looks nothing like the comics. And then when somebody does a comic accurate representation, suddenly those characters look worse to people. And it's like nobody's fault because it's like, well, yeah, you grew up with this version, so how would you know that this version looks correct? It's like such a weird choice, and I feel like DC unfortunately makes a lot of those. I'm gonna use this concealer to like cut the contouring my nose a little bit. You know when you focus on one thing and suddenly your eyes get like really blurry if you stare at it like way too long? It just happened to me and I was like struggling to see what I was doing. I'm gonna use this About Face liquid eye paint on like the corners just to brighten the inside of my face a little bit. Even just looking at Barry's suit during the show, he just looks so... It just looks like he doesn't fit in the suit, and the suit looks like it's made of like cheap material. Overall, it just does not look right. I think the beginning seasons look better than the later seasons, which is such like a rare thing to see. In the later seasons, it seemed like they gave him a like more helmet structure, and it just made his head look so big. Like, it makes it look like bulbous instead of just looking like how it did in the first few seasons, which was like fine. If anybody's gonna talk about having a bulbous head, I think I'm allowed, okay? Because I got a pretty big fucking head, and I just think it's a really weird feature to accentuate in a hero costume, especially to make it worse when you have a bigger budget. Just seems like a strange idea to me. Is this too much? Maybe. Who cares? I'm at home alone. Like, what the fuck is it gonna do? The part that pisses me off the most about the CW show looking so crazy, this is the About Face curtain call powder, is that it had so much potential not to. Again, the set design looks incredible. They look like they are totally in a different world, and it just looks so well done. And then there's the costumes and the character choices. Like the Reverse Flash, he looks fine relatively in the first few seasons. He looks worse as the seasons go on, like actually actively worse. From what I've heard, the storyline of the show wasn't that great either. Like overall, it was fine, and everybody's kind of glad it was there to get other people into DC, but it doesn't sound like it was like a very good show. Every time I've talked about watching it, I've had people just be like, you don't have to. From what I have seen, the only suit that looks really, really well done is the God of Speed. His looked so cool. Like, I don't think they could have done that design better. It just looked so, so good. And then there's everybody else. It's like, what happened in between?
I think now is a good time to say, I hate this microphone. I got this microphone like 2 or 3 months ago. Single-handedly, it has like destroyed like 4 recordings because it just shuts off at random. I fucking hate this thing. It's not that it's dying, it just shuts itself off. Like, I'm not actively using it. We're gonna do a really weird mix of things. I'm like scared. I want it to be bright, but I don't want it to be like too much. I'm gonna start with this color and I'm just gonna kind of put it everywhere and see where we go with it. I think this one's called Berry Cola. It is. Look at me remembering things.
I think that's as dark as I can go. It's gonna take a second because I fucked that up bad. This is like the least used lipstick in my kit. I look like a child that just like smeared lipstick all over their face. Hold on. I think I'm remembering why this is the least used one in my kit, because it doesn't dry down. So it just looks wet and it feels like a gloss, but it's really thin. So it almost feels more like a lip balm, but not in a good way. Like a lip balm that you want to take off immediately. Like a medicated lip balm. I hate this lipstick. Oh, it's a lip cream. It's a ColourPop lip cream. I guess I just didn't ever notice. You can see how fucking old this thing is. I get mad about the CW show because I feel like it had so much potential to be not what it is, to be so much better. So I get a little annoyed when I remember just how like fucking crazy it was. I'm gonna use this Fenty highlight all over my highlighted areas. I think something that I was noticing about the CW shows too was that all of them were trying to be as dark as Batman is, which kind of defeats the purpose of Gotham. Gotham is supposed to be this like fucked up, beautiful city that is just dark and has a lot of bad things happening in it, but there's still like hope for the city. And Batman is supposed to be building that hope for the city and like taking it back and making it better. What I think a lot of adaptations of Batman and a lot of adaptations of the other DC shows miss is that A, that's only supposed to be Gotham. That's why there's hope, is because you look around the world and there's other things happening and there's other things that are getting like destroyed, but it's not the level that Gotham is at, which the hope comes from the fact that the world isn't broken. So you can't just destroy everything. I'm gonna try something and it might not work and it might fuck it all up, and that's okay. I got this palette. It's called Peach Jelly. It's by ColourPop. I know it's like really hard to read. There's a color in here called Peachalicious at the top in the middle, and it looks like it'll go well with my highlight and add like a little bit more gold. Actually, I think I might start with the Peachalicious and then do the other one called Jiggle Jiggle, which I think is funny for other reasons. I just think that to take that idea and be like, what if we make Central City look like Gotham, then it kind of destroys part of the purpose for whatever Batman you're doing. So far, every version of like a DC redo, I guess, when they try to like redo the timeline, so far every single one, as far as I'm aware, has touched on Gotham. If you're gonna do that and you're gonna make Central City look just as bad as Gotham, I'm not gonna trust whatever you do with Gotham. That tells me that you're just gonna make Gotham the edgelord city. The Batman with Robert Pattinson, they did a really good job at highlighting how beautiful the city is, while also showing that it is dark, it is dangerous, and there's a lot of shit going on. But they did highlight if I remember right, they highlighted sunsets and they highlighted overviews of the city, and they highlighted that there was things going on that were pretty okay. So I trust that version of the Batman. And part of the reason that I trust James Gunn's version of Superman is that he made Metropolis bright and happy, and he made all of the other characters bright and happy, or at least tried. Or at least they were like doing something that wasn't like, damn, everything sucks. So I trust those versions of adaptations more because they understand the total source material instead of one separate thing. I bought some really big lashes. I might have to put them on. They're so pretty. I think I have to cut a corner off of them, but I think these are the lashes I want to use. They are like covering my eye though. I swear to God, if this fucking microphone turns off again. Let's do an overall review of everything. These contacts, they're very comfortable. I can see really well. My eyes are round. They are not yellow, I wouldn't say. I think if you're really close to me, you can tell they're yellow, but if you're any farther away than this camera is, I really don't think you can. I think they just look hazel at that point. This primer, I will say that my pores do look a little less visible. I think they're less visible enough for photos, but in person, again, I won't say it's bad. It's pretty good. It's just not as good as I was hoping for with all the reviews I had heard, which is maybe my problem and not the product's problem. I do also know that I think there's a product called Pore Putty that does work a little bit better than this does. I haven't used it in a long time, so maybe the formula has changed a little bit, but it's not bad. It's just the price point was really high. I think this was like $15 or something, maybe 20. So I'm not super in love with it for how little it did. It is also the middle of summer where I am, and it is hot and humid. So it is entirely possible that it's just not meant to fight against this much weather, causing this kind of definition to my pores. But it looks pretty good. Good enough for photos. It would make editing a lot easier. I just don't think, if you're looking for like a flawless finish in person, I don't think that that's exactly what it did. And then this palette I just got. I didn't use a whole lot of the colors, obviously. I'm planning on using it in a different video. The little that I did use, it's a part of the highlight on my cheeks and everything. I think it looks so good. Other than that, I really love this look. I think it's so cool. I love reds and yellows together. I think they just look so good. And I love the Flash, and I love talking about DC, obviously, as most of my channel is at this point, talking about DC. I will say a lot of my knowledge is from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and a little bit of the comics, but not specific things. And I did absolutely love the Flashpoint paradox. So I am totally in love with this character, but I may not be as knowledgeable as some people are, which means I might have fucked up some of this info. And I encourage you to fact check me and tell me if I got anything wrong. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope that you stay cool and that you stay cringe. And I'll see you later. Bye.